Mr. Baluku, kindly welcome and share, introduce yourself and share a few remarks before we start. Karibu sana. Mr. Baluku. I think his mic is on mute. We can continue. And then.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you. I'm really grateful. I'm humbled to join this wonderful team of teachers and officers led by our sponsors, Jelly Mission. I know most of us have really been involved in some training at the STEM program in Nairobi, headed by one of our sub-county directors. Mine is just to encourage each of us to embrace the new normal of teaching and learning. Probably that could be the way forward for us in the near future. So let us all support each other to ensure we all succeed in ensuring that our kids, our children, our students embrace technology because this is the way to go. So I'm humbled. I'll be with you for a few minutes, but I think in the other programs, in other meetings that we'll be having, I'll try as much as possible to be with you. So thank you so much for being with this team.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baluku. We really honored to have you on board. And we are glad that our principals have also joined us today. Madam Matuku, we recognize the presence. Mr. Collins Omundu of Meru, we are happy to have you on board, and we believe that today will be a fruitful day. Karibuni sana. Back to you, Hebron.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Francisca, for that. I'm giving 1 minute to those who have not renamed themselves to actually do that. Actually, I know there will be a lesson on this. The upcoming lesson is actually about Zoom, where most of us actually will get the chance actually to do that. But in the meantime, you can try your best to rename yourself. I can see Hamida Alamin. Kindly try and rename yourself. I recognize your presence, Hamida. Deputy Sharif Nasir Girls, welcome. Okay, 1 minute to rename yourselves, and then I will give it back to Mr. Javiero. Click on your name. For those using phones, click on participants, and then it will actually show your name. You click on your name, and then you will get a prompt to actually rename yourself. Okay. Back to Mr. Javiero.
Thank you, Hebron. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure and privilege to take you through what we did actually yesterday. We had a very fruitful session yesterday, judging from the remarks that we saw you give on live chats, and even in the platforms that we also have for our LitNum group, that is a Literacy Numeracy platform. Without further ado, let me just say that yesterday we began with the preliminaries, where we had Mr. Hebron guiding us through what he's done also today about, renaming ourselves and indicating our names and the subjects. Then after that, there was a brief introduction into what was to be done in the course of the day and the leveling expectations that was done by Madam Mary of I Choose Life Africa. And then she welcomed us for the session and praised the initiative of the schools that had started the program for home learning. She explained the objectives of the refresher course and then acknowledged the support that the school administrations have given to the respective schools that are engaged in this program. At the same time, we at some point, of course, had a brief break, of course, to get a word of prayer from Madam Beatrice Angira of Changamwe Secondary School, which was the opening prayer for the day. And after that, the introductions came, and we were led through the introductions by Mr. Hebron, who first of all acknowledged the presence of the 4 principals who are present yesterday. And then the introductions were done by sub-county, where we had teachers introducing themselves and of course stating their schools and subjects accordingly. After which we got official welcoming remarks from the county manager of the project, Madam Francesca, who also thanked the membership for the great attendance. I think at one point I noted yesterday, we were at 74 or thereabouts. So she expressed gratitude to the teacher coaches for the initiative of starting the home learning program, and of course the respective teachers in their different schools for participating in the same. She gave a background information to the home learning solutions amid the COVID-19 pandemic, and also reminded us about child safety measures in the face of the lockdown and the health and basic hygiene guidelines that the students need to observe during the COVID-19 period. She also gave us some statistics and told us that so far the numbers had reached up to 3,280. That is a very big number. 3,280 students had accessed a home learning program in the 19 Jelimishe schools. Immediately after, she welcomed the principal of Miritini Secondary School, Mr. Omondi, who actually told us a lot about mobilization and sensitization of parents for the home learning program with reference to Miritini Secondary School as a case study, where it was noted that the program of home learning has really taken root. So the brief background information on Miritini actually also revealed how the initiative came about, the successes that they have realized, the challenges that they are facing, and even how they managed to deal with the students who cannot be accessed online by availing learning materials to learners. And that definitely addresses the issue of inclusivity. In fact, Mr. Wishaminya weighed in on the matter of inclusivity and said that it's a very key component in implementing home learning in this kind of situation of the new normal. Subsequently, we were introduced to Mr. Okuba, who took the membership through the basics of the Google Classroom, and he laid out the objectives of the Google Classroom. He went ahead to give the rationale for the Google Classroom, and then of course he outlined the key benefits of the Google Classroom that revolved around simplicity, efficiency, visual appeal, organization, integration, and communication. After that, Mr. Okuba, in his very, very detailed discussion, also told us something on exploring the Google Classroom and how to navigate through it through the teacher perspective, and steps of creating classes, adding students, and of course even creating assignments. I remember at one point, of course, we were also reminded that whatever we were told yesterday, we definitely try to give a feedback on the same today, and the presenters of yesterday would be glad to respond to our experiences from yesterday's presentations.
last but not least, we had a keynote address given by the County Director of TSE, Dr. Marigat Samuel, and he appreciated greatly the initiative of Jerimishe and acknowledged the new norm of online learning, a concept that our sub-county director, Mr. Nicodemus Maluku, has also re-echoed this morning, that we teachers now have just to embrace the new normal or the new norm of online learning, which is now like a positive attribute of the COVID-19 pandemic. So he challenged the principals present also to embrace this concept, because it seems like it's the direction we are going. Actually, he gave a very good mantra of the famous quote of, when life gives you a lemon, make a lemonade. And that one really resonated with the members in attendance. He also pledged to be a great partner of Jerimishe Initiative as a colleague, and appealed to teachers to impact the society positively so as to change the lives and attitudes of children in the midst of this pandemic. Subsequently, or finally, a closing prayer was offered by Madam Josephine Kusa, and after that, we just had some, in-house engagements before finally the session was wound up. And on that note, my appeal to colleague teachers is that whatever we are experiencing for these 2 days, please, let us go through not only the process of the implementation, but also ensure that there is a sustainability, which means let's try to make it move on and on until the time that the students will be back in school or even beyond. Finally, in the words of one famous blogger by the name Michael Masinde, and this is some post that he gave to students a while back, he said, and I quote, "How students spend their time at home right now will determine which grades they get in KCSE next year." And colleagues, I believe this is very true indeed. And the only way to ensure that the students achieve their goals come next year is to ensure that definitely during this time, we stay close to them, reach out to them, and ensure that they do what is expected. Otherwise, on that note, my time was brief, and I wish to, limit it at that end. Thank you so much, everyone. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Javiero. Without further ado, also I want to recognize the principal girls, Madam Firdaus. You are really welcome. Yeah, so I give it back to Guda to lead us in the upcoming session. So I'll stop sharing and give it back to him.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
As you have been told, my name is Guda. I'll take you through the Zoom. We have Zoom before. We used it yesterday, and we are using Zoom today. So I'm going to take us through what we already know. And on the Zoom, I'll be able to check the page. Very nice. I was told to take you through classroom management and etiquette using Zoom. but I believe there's some of us who still don't know what Zoom is. They don't know how to log into Zoom. So briefly, I'll first take you through what Zoom is and how to log in, how to sign in, how to sign up. Then later on, I'll be able to take you through classroom management. That is me. I'm a teacher of maths and physics at Mwakerunge Secondary School. I'm Microsoft certified educator. I'm also an ICT champion. I'm a teacher coach, Mombasa County. I don't want to talk much about me. That's enough for me. So how do we log in to Zoom? When you use any browser, then you type Zoom login. The screen will appear as seen on my screen that I'm sharing. So you type in Zoom login. When you click the Zoom login, you click the Zoom login if you want to join. And when you click it, this screen will appear. On the login page, you'll be able to see there is join a meeting. And the join a meeting, you'll use this to join a meeting you have been invited to. Then host a meeting. There's also the feature there called host a meeting. Hope you're seeing that, where you'll use when you want to host a meeting. Then there is sign in. And yeah, there is sign in feature where you will use this to sign in if you already have an account with the Zoom. Then there is sign up. If you have not used Zoom before, if you're using Zoom for the first time, then you will be required to sign up. When you click the sign up, the details that will be required there that you'll be able to type in. Back to the sign in, there are details required like your email address, then the password that you have used before. If you forgot your password, still you'll be able to assist it. There's a feature there that will be able to guide you plus all that. There is home screen. When you sign in, then you will find the home screen. The home screen has several features like the personal profile, meetings, webinar, recordings, settings, the admin, user management, room management, account management, advanced, plus all that. Some of these features are key. Like if you begin by the profile one, you can put your photo there and more details about you as an educator, so that when you're joining a meeting, sometimes you see when you have not joined with the video, your image just appear. So the image that is there in your profile. Then the meeting. On the meeting, it will be able to show you the upcoming meeting, the previous meetings, and even the personal rooms and the meeting templates that you can use to organize for a meeting. We'll even be able to show you the starting time and the ending time for the upcoming meeting, plus the meetings that you've attended before. The recordings, as you attend using the Zoom, you can record your lesson, then you'll be able to see them on the recording part. Then the settings. This setting feature carries out settings of a meeting, settings that you can be able to carry out so that you conduct the meeting successfully. I think that's the basic part of it. Then you can download this Zoom for a desktop. You can get it from the mobile phone or you can get it from the desktop. For the desktop, when you go to the download center, you'll be able to find two. That is the Zoom client for meetings. And then the main purpose for this is video conferencing. The Zoom plugin for Microsoft Outlook. This one is designed to make scheduling of a meeting in a Microsoft Outlook easier, quick, and convenient. It allows you to schedule and start instant meetings plus much more. You can schedule it in your calendar so that it just prompts you to that you need to have a meeting. That is from the Microsoft Outlook. The sign-in, that is from the desktop interface sign-in or the login. Some of the required details include email address, your password, then you just sign in. And there's also the part that if you forgot your password, you can be able to use that. Then if you have not signed in before, then you can sign up as I already mentioned earlier. From the desktop interface, after logging in, you'll find the feature that's on the screen. On the screen, we have the new meeting feature. You click this when you want to start a new meeting. There is part for join. You join this by keying in your meeting ID and the password. This one is the one that you've been provided for on a meeting, on the link for a meeting that you've been invited to attend. Then you can schedule a meeting by using the schedule. You use this feature to schedule a meeting, I've already mentioned. Then the share screen. You can use this to share your screen. Then there is that feature on your right hand side. The section will be able to show you the upcoming scheduled meetings, if there is any. The setting interface. The setting interface allows you to carry out settings that will enable meeting to be conducted conclusively or conducively with minimal interference. Like some of the few interference that you have had, like a baby crying, is because maybe the setting was not done well, but we can still handle that. We can still set it from our side. We can mute you so that you only hear us, but we cannot hear you. So there are several there. There is general setting, video, audio, screen share, chat, background, and filters, recording, profile, statistics, feedback, keyboard shortcuts, and accessibility. All those includes the features that we'll be able to see some of them in managing our classroom. You can set the recording that every meeting you attend, it records automatically. When you have already joined the meeting, then you will have this interface. You'll have a black screen like this. On a black screen, on the left-hand side, there is part written mute or unmute. So that is the first part you need to handle. You need to mute yourself when you are not talking. Because sometimes we carry out meetings in our rooms. Maybe the young ones are there, they might interfere. So you can simply mute that part so that even if they interfere with you, the other participant will not be able to hear that. So look at the bottom left side of the screen. You will see that feature written mute or unmute. So when you just click that feature, it will be able to mute itself. Then you unmute it when you want to stop, when you want to talk. There is just next to mute, just next to mute or unmute, there is video option. This one you use it when you want to start a video or when you want to stop a video. If you don't want us to see you, you stop it. If you want us to see you, you allow it. I can remember there's a meeting I attended where somebody was attending the meeting in the bedroom. So remember what we saw, what other participants saw, which was not meant for them. So when you feel you are even you can attend the meeting in the bedroom, but don't allow us to see your video. Just allow us to use only the audio by blocking the video part. When you are in a conducive place, you can get back to the video. Then we have the security, the participant. There is the chat part, the chat feature. You use this part when you want to chat to everyone and when you want to chat to an individual. Like yesterday, somebody had chatted a text which was meant for an individual and they made it open to all of us. I will not mention that person, but I'm sure you know how to handle it now. When you're in the chat box, as you are texting, just above it, there is part written everyone. Or when there's an arrow downward, when you go to that arrow, it will be able to give you to an individual. So you just click an individual, then the text goes to a specific person if it is not meant for public consumption. Next to it, there is file. And on this file, we can store the chat. Later on, we view them. Maybe if you're using it in classroom, then the chat option allows even the students can answer the question in the chat option. Then later on, you download that one and you're able to address to them. There is also reaction. No, before the reaction, there is a record. We can use the record when you want to record a meeting. Maybe later on you analyze and you look at areas you want to improve on or for future consumption. There is breakout rooms. You can use these breakout rooms to break for discussions. There is reactions. Maybe if the students want to react, like to appreciate or to give their view on what you have already presented, they can use the reaction part. I believe after the end of this, you will use the reaction to give if the presentation is okay or not. Zoom also provides you with option on how to record and where to record. When you look at the record option, you can record on the cloud. You can also record on the computer. The same page, on the right bottom part, there is part written end. When you click the end, then it will ask you to end meeting for all or leave a meeting. Suppose you're attending a meeting and you realize that you are held up somewhere, there's an emergency. You can simply leave a meeting and attend to that thing. But as a host, you need to, once the meeting is over, don't forget to click end meetings for all, because you might have left, a host, you might have left the meeting, but the meeting is still on. So the students will be able to still be able to interact and do other funny things on the meeting. So once the meeting is over, you end the meeting for all. End meeting for all, as I have mentioned, the host use this feature to end the meeting once the meeting is over. Leave meeting as a participant, you can use this feature to leave a meeting when the meeting is over, or when you want to leave midway. Still, on the screen, Zoom provides you with the breakout rooms. As I've mentioned, we use this for group discussion. You can break, if you have a large class, let's say you have 100 students, you can break them into different groups, into different rooms. Then you assign a teacher to them that will be able to, they discuss a particular question, then later on you come back and share your views after discussion. Home screen sharing page option, our feature. When you click screen sharing, it will be able to ask you, it will be able to give you the screen that appears. It has several features, like it will be able to ask you to share the screen, sticky notes, or you want to share the whiteboards. The whiteboards, when you share, it will allow you to write on the screen. You can still write on the screen and they'll be able to see. And then the iPhone pad, and we also have other features like you can share the Google page or from the desktop. So once you have seen that page, click the ones you want to use You can go to the basic or advanced, or even you can share the files with your audience, and you click the share option. Security features. On the security features, it allows you to lock meetings. Like when you have a meeting and you know that you have 20 students, then all your 20 students have already joined, then you can lock your meetings so that no any intruder can join the meeting. It also have a waiting room, like let's say the students have joined a meeting earlier than the host or the teacher, then you can allow them to stay in a particular room as they wait for the teacher. It also allows participants to share screen, to chat, to rename themselves, to unmute themselves, plus much more. So you can be able to carry out the settings that once the students have already changed their name, use the correct name, you don't allow them to rename themselves again, because sometimes some of them use very funny names. So you ensure that they rename themselves. Everyone has already shown you how to rename. You go to the participant, when you click your name, it will give you that option of renaming. Or on your screen, just click your name, where your name is. It will be able to give you the part for renaming, exiting, using a video, or maintaining audio. Then you'll be able to rename yourself. Then use the correct name. Always allow them to use the correct name when you are having a class. What is this Zoom then? I've already shown you how to open it. Zoom is a web-based video conferencing tool with a local desktop client and a mobile app that allows users to meet online. During this pandemic, we cannot meet physically. So most of the meetings have been held online. So Zoom is one of tool that we can be able to use to meet online. The host controls the meeting. From the host side, it has several features that can be able to use to control a meeting to ensure that the meeting ends successfully. A participant is an invitee in a meeting scheduled by someone with a host license. Participant can be a student, or it can be a teacher invited, plus all that. As an educator, for you to be successful, you need to manage your Zoom classroom before and during presentation. The settings that you can carry out before, the settings that you can carry out when you are already presenting. Like when there is interference from a particular participant, you can mute them from your side. Or before the meeting, you can ensure that you mute everyone as the host. Zoom learners or participant etiquette. What are some of the things that the participants need to ensure that they follow? They need to ensure that they mute their microphone if they are not talking. Like Walter Jindwa, you need to mute your microphone because you're not talking. Remember what I said? Yes. Thank you, Walter, for doing that. Then there's another etiquette is you turn off video. We advise that when you are having a classroom, then make the students turn off their video because there might be interference from one particular participant which will interfere with the whole class. So tell them, turn off your video. When you need them to put on their video, you'll be able to ask them to turn on the video. Then the participant or the learners need to use their real name for easy identification so that the teacher is able to identify a particular student who might have a problem. Only post chat messages relevant to the lesson. And the learners need to ensure that they only post what is relevant to that particular lesson. If you just allow them to open, then some of them will be posting funny things. So you need to advise them to ensure that they only post what is relevant. Remember I've said you mute when you are not talking. Mute when you're not talking. You raise up your hand whenever you advise the learners to raise up their hand whenever they have a question. There's the reaction part. There is from the chat, they'll be able to raise up their hand. Remember, as you chat, remember chats are recorded, and I'll say that the host can download them through that feature, the file just next to the chat. You'll be able to download them. So suppose you text something which is not suitable, the host will be able to see that. So remember what you're posting, what you are chatting must be the right thing, must be the relevant. It must be relevant. Things you need to consider prior to the start of the session. Meeting will run smoothly if educator or the teacher follow the following recommendation. Please note that the participant audio and the video is an inherent part of the Zoom meeting. They can be turned off and on. Remember, the video or the audio can make the meeting be successful or not. Like if maybe there's interference. You need to test your sound and the video in a fake meeting prior to the going live. As a host, you want to have a class, or as a teacher, you want to have a class with your learners. You need to ensure that you first test your video, test your audio, to ensure that when you now have the actual class, you'll be able to be successful. Then you can turn off chats. You can also turn off participant screen share so that the participant don't just share their screen abruptly. Annotation, plus much more in your Zoom meetings. If you turn off this, you can turn them off and on as an educator. So you can make sure you do that, and you only allow them to chat when you want them now to ask questions. Participants or learners management. How do we manage the learners? Turn off any video camera. Once you do, participant can't turn them back on. You are the one who can turn them on so that they can be able to now talk or you're able to see them. This one is done under the settings. Then the settings, there's part which is written manage participant. So as a host, you're able to do that. You're able to rename participant if needed and don't allow them to rename themselves. As I said, we're dealing with funny learners. Sometimes you find them using funny names. So you can rename them from your site, and you can do this under settings. Then under settings, there is manage participants, stroke more. Don't allow the participant to screen share. This is under advanced sharing. Remember, I looked at the interface for the settings. And under settings, there is the downer part, there is part written advanced. The advanced sharing option. You want only, not all participants. You are not only participants able to share until you allow them now to share. You remove students or parents. Suppose you have a meeting with the parents, you need to remove the students or the parents that do not follow the rules. We don't want it to come to this way because you can still be able to you need to take them through the rules, the etiquettes, what is required of them. But if there is this particular student or this particular parent who still be able to not following the rule, even after reminding, after chatting, plus all that, you can remove that. If needed, you remove them from the meeting. Just click on that participant. You'll be able to see, as a host, you click the participant, and you'll be able to have the option of removing, muting, plus all that. Then you lock the meeting after 5 to 10 minutes. You have agreed that you have a class today, maybe class 10. So we can lock the class 5 or 10 minutes when everyone have already attended. I told you the advantage of doing this, or the reason of doing this is to ensure that we don't have an intruder. Remember, an intruder come in and share funny things. When the pandemic began, when the Zoom was first became common, we had several stories that happened. people sharing pornographic things plus all that interfering with the learners. So you need to be able to lock that so that you only have your particular learners. Ending a meeting properly is also key. As the lesson progresses, you can open settings, back up and let students talk and chat. You can make sure that private chat is turned off. Remember, as you are teaching or as you are having a meeting, maybe there's this particular student who can have a private chat with another student. So to ensure that that is not allowed, you can turn them off so that they only chat in the public one. There's no private chat. As a host, you have that power. And ensure you have a co-teacher or an instructional aid as you run the lesson to keep an eye on everything else. Then, like I have a co-teacher. My co-teachers today are a lecturer, is a co-host, and the boss here, when Hebron, is also a co-host. So I've assigned them a particular role to perform. When you're having a class, you can also assign you can have some co-teachers to help you carry out the deliver in the class. In conclusion, it is practice that makes perfect. Do not fear to learn, as this will make you grow professionally. That marks the end of my presentation. I want to ask if there is any question.
Questions?
Yes, just for Tokemwan, asking, how do you test your audio to ensure that the participant can hear you? One of my co-hosts is Kuba. Kuba, can you handle that?
Thank you so much, Bonaguda. I believe you can get me loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, now, testing your audio, there is, right now as you're speaking, on the bottom left of your screen or device in the laptop, there is that thing that looks like a microphone. Then on the side, there is the drop up kind of arrow. When you click on the drop up kind of arrow, there'll be a list coming up from the microphones present in your device, from the speakers present in your device. Then after that, there is what you call test speaker and microphone. Test speaker and microphone. The moment you click on that, the system will prompt you to speak by yourself. Then when you get a response, if the audio is clear, then it will tick that the audio is clear. Then again, it will tell you to speak. Then it will bring back again the same voice that I've said for you to hear. So that is one way in which you can test your audio. Back to you, Bonaguda.
Yes. Any other question?
Thank you very much.
Oh, maybe before a question, Mr. Buddha has talked about co-hosts or other co-teachers. Now, the issue of making Zoom to be, or rather to make it a learner-centered tool, you can actually assign some learners to co-hosts who will actually help you in controlling other learners. By the way, learners normally acknowledge being given responsibilities. And when you give them responsibilities, actually, they become very responsible. Therefore, you can maybe make this one prior, you have a discussion with them, that tomorrow you will be the co-host, or rather in the upcoming lesson you will be a co-host. These learners actually will know, or rather will be great in using Zoom as a tool, and also being responsible in controlling or rather in managing other learners. And this makes them responsible and even good collaborators. in that respect. Back to you, Buddha.
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me? Yeah, so Mr. Guda, I don't know whether you can, or Mr. Okuba, can you please take us through how to implement the breakout rooms? How do you go about it? Maybe we want the students to do an assignment in groups. How do you implement it? Mr. Okuba.
Thank you so much, Mary. I believe if I have to do that live, I will ask Buddha to stop sharing so that I can see if I can share on my end.
Yes.
So let me see if I can schedule. Now, this feature, Mary, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
the breakout rooms. Now that I'm in the same meeting and I'm trying to schedule another meeting in the same meeting, it won't allow me because I have to like get out from this meeting, then set up another meeting. But what I can say is that when setting up the Zoom meeting, there's that option in which you can set automatically the breakout rooms, or you can set manually in the meeting. Automatically, it is if you're anticipating, let's say, 90 learners in your particular session, you can go ahead and say, out of those 90 learners, I want 10 breakout rooms. Now, 10 breakout rooms means that you shall have at least nine learners per breakout room. Then, if you don't want it to set automatically, you can as well go on and set it manually in the Zoom meeting, like now what we are doing here. I believe for the licensed version, the host, the main host on the other end can be able to see that feature. From my side, from the Zoom that I'm using, as a co-host, I'm not seeing the feature of breakout rooms, but it is in the settings. Once you enable it in the settings, it will appear under one of the features. Hapo chini penye mnaona kuna share screen, kuna record, it will appear there as a breakout room. So on my licensed version, when I create or rather schedule a meeting, there is always that part of breakout rooms. Back to you, Mary. Maybe before the end, I'll take a screenshot, then share with the forum.
Yeah, thank you, Okuba.
Yes, thank you, Okuba. My co-host, Hebron, my other co-host, is there something to add?
Yeah, I've seen a question from Opala. Great presentation, sir. My question is, can a learner leave the meeting and join directly without going through the process of joining the meeting again? It's a good question. Actually, the host is you. When you are setting up a meeting or rather a session, there are key conditions you can actually make by yourself. Actually, maybe that when people are joining, you create what you call a waiting room, where you will be allowing participants to join. After you allow them, that's when they can join. But for this case, like the meeting we are having right now, I didn't put that feature because we wanted you people to actually join directly. But for the purpose of security, now that we'll be dealing with learners, and remember, learners do share credentials of meetings like this with others. So to prevent what you call the bombarding of the meeting with people whom are not authorized, actually you can use the feature when you are actually setting up the meeting to have a holding room or rather a waiting room where where anyone who wants to join, you have to actually check who it is, then you accept. That's when they can join. This one makes you, it gives you a leeway of actually preventing unwarranted or rather unauthorized people from joining the meeting you have set. Coming back to your question, can learners leave and then join without doing that? It now depends with you. If you have made the meeting open, yes, they can leave and join without any problem. If you have put the credentials, again, they can also leave and join. Like some of you here are leaving and joining back, maybe because of internet connectivity. You are leaving and also joining. Yeah, the number is fluctuating. It was 67, right now is 65. And I'm sure by maybe before I end this, maybe it will be 66 again. There are some of you who are dropping out and they are rejoining again. So it's still possible for learners to drop and even join. They cannot join without actually doing what? Going through the part of putting an ID and the password. Now, there is one thing that you need to understand. If it is internet which actually threw you out the session, if it is internet, maybe likatika, and then you are off the meeting, once the internet is back and stable, it will rejoin back without taking you through the steps of actually inputting an ID and a password. Nadhani nimeeleweka. Back to you, Guda.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Bwana Hebron. Mr. Ondo is asking, can it be used to administer exam? Yesterday, Mr. Wish took us through the exam.net. Okuba took us through the Google Classroom. We can use the Zoom to enhance the tool, plus any other tool. Like when you have the Zoom meeting, this is where you can conduct a meeting to give guidance to the students on what to expect. Like when you want to take them through the exam.net, then we can use the Zoom to orientate them, or even through the Google Classroom. You want to share Google Classroom with them, you want to take them through on how to use Google Classroom, then we can be able to use that. We can use Zoom also to teach. Remember when you share the screen, I've shown you the whiteboard where you can do the writings and the students able to see, like you can calculate, you can write on it as you share with them. They're able to see that. So Zoom implements other app which we use in learning or which we use in assessment for administering the exam. Yes.
Yeah, there is also one thing that we need to know. Always discourage learners from sharing their screen without you giving them a chance to do so. There is a danger of actually having unwarranted content being shared by learners if you don't disable the share screen, or rather, if you don't actually caution them on when to share and how to share. Some learners can actually share screens with the content that is not relevant to the lesson. It happens. Even in WhatsApp, you have seen people actually forwarding information without reading it. They just forward. By the time they realize, they've actually shared information that is not relevant, or rather that is unwarranted. So you are the controller, and now that you'll be having co-hosts in your lesson, it is good to actually be very careful of what is being shared. Once you see that there is something that is being shared, I know when I'm talking about sharing of your screen, if you just go down your screen, you will see what we call the Zoom menu taskbar, or rather Zoom menu bar, which now comprises of the green icon of share screen, which is normally used now by those people who share. So this icon is really key, and you need to be in control of what is being shared. Like right now, no one is sharing, but you can have learners who are cheeky. Maybe with the memes now which are coming up, somebody wants to make the class maybe to be somehow excited. Then mtu anaeka meme, anashare for maybe a second, and then it actually disorients the whole class. Back to you, Buddha.
There is also participant asking. Good presentation, Mr. Guda. That is Betty. The issue of managing learners living without permission, unless it is internet issue. How do I control that as a host? This might be a challenge, because if they tell you I left because they had a problem, I had no bundles. How will you know that they had no bundles? Because they are on the other side. So once they have already joined, if it is not the issue of internet failure or internet connectivity or lack of bundles, then we believe that the students will be able to stay in the meeting. But if they are not interested to learn, they will always have an excuse to leave. If they are really interested on what you're teaching them, then they will stay in the meeting. Yes. Any other question before I give it back?
Yeah, Mr. Aguda.
Yes.
Allow me to say something also to add on the good presentation which you have just done.
Yes, I didn't mention you as another co-host.
Okay, so sometimes colleagues, you have been hearing some echoes, unasikia some scratching of sound. In most cases, this is normally caused by when you have connected yourself with 2 devices. More so for the person who is speaking. Kwa mfano umeingia na simu, umeingia Zoom na simu, na pia umeingia na laptop, ama pia kuna laptop ingine ya pili umeingia nayo tena. So more than 2 devices are running the same meeting concurrently. So in most cases, hiyo echo yenye huwa unasikia huwa inasababishwa na hiyo. Thank you very much, Mr. Guda.
Yes, thank you, Bwanavish, for your input. Remember what I said, that let us not fear to learn. Some of these features, we need to explore them by trying them. You can just try them on when you organize some. Before we organize a meeting, we can organize a pre-mock meeting before we have the actual one by testing. Just test on what you know. Don't fear to test. Don't fear to try. Don't fear to ask. Like where you have a problem, don't fear to ask. Sometimes when the students or the learners have joined, then they realize that their audio has a problem. Sometimes you can just advise them to disconnect and connect again. They'll be able to be guided. Then take them through. Pole. Once they're able to familiarize themselves with the Zoom, they'll be able to attend the meeting successfully. But I want to believe that as we continue now, none of us will be able to unmute when he or she doesn't want to talk. When you are not talking, ensure you mute. When you don't want us to see you, ensure you stop the video. Only allow it when you are already been told to. As a key host, for the meeting to be successful, you are key. You cannot do it alone. You can assign other people to help you do it, like my colleagues have done it today. Otherwise, if there is no other question, I want to say thank you for listening.
Guda?
Yes.
Maybe if I can just weigh out something on this feature on a turn off video, the turn off video feature, whereby like now we can see some of the participants' videos are off. It's a good feature, especially when the learners have issues, or rather they have a weak internet connectivity. But again, it has its cons on the other end, because the participants or the learners can disable the videos on the other end, but generally they're not even in that meeting. They've just logged in and they've disappeared. So you as a teacher, you'll be teaching an empty class because there's no way you can be able to know what's happening on the other end from the participants' side, of course. But to curb such scenarios, when you're teaching, you can engage your learners by just mentioning, yes, Josephine, what is your view on this? You see, so sometimes you have been doing that, then you find that learners are not responding. That's when you realize that they're not on the other end. They have disabled their audio, they have disabled their video. And I must say that this kind of disabling audio and video at the same time, it's the technological style of skipping class, you know. So once in a while, just try and mention your learners. You see if they can respond on the other end. Then something else is that those who are using the desktop version of Zoom, it always comes with updates, you know, under the settings. Please check on updates because Zoom is trying to fortify its security features, and each update that comes about with new features. So please keep on updating the desktop version every now and then. Just check the updates and update. Sometimes when you're connected online, it will prompt you to install the updates. You just see a pop-up. Please don't ignore updates from Zoom. They come in handy. Then lastly, to respond to Mary, I informed her that I will get back to her with a screenshot of how to enable the breakout rooms. If I can just share my screen for a moment. The setting, of course, you'll find it under when you open your settings on Google Chrome. Leave alone the desktop version. Just log in into your Zoom account on a web browser like Google Chrome. Then go to advanced sharing options. Like, for example, what you're seeing on my screen right now, this is my account on Zoom. So there's a section here called breakout rooms here. See this one here. So if you don't enable it, like the way I've done here in the blue, there's no way you'll see the breakout option in a live Zoom meeting. Utaona hiyo part. But if you enable it, tukiingia live like the way we are right now, you will see that option almost next after recording, either before or after the icon where you're supposed to click and record. So please enable this feature first here. Ingia to your account, Zoom account via a web browser, then go to meeting basics. It is under settings, then enable the breakout rooms. The moment you do that, ukikuja kwa live, you'll be able to see that option whereby you can put participants in respective breakout rooms. I hope that answers Mary.
Yeah, thank you, Okuba. Now it's quite clear.
Thank you so much. Back to you, Guda.
Yes, Okuba. On the same screen that you have just shared.
Yes, please.
You'll be able to explain another part there, but before that, Betty is asking, as a host, can I see my learners and be able to see them all? Yes, remember, you can be able to ask them to put on their video when you want to see them. Remember, for the meeting to be successful, there are things that you'll be able to carry out in the process of the meeting. Like you can allow the chat, allow them to chat, stop them from chatting, allow them to talk, stop them from talking, allow them to their video to be on so that we don't have ghosts. They're just already logged in, then they disappear, then they come back later when the time is over. So that's also possible. Then remember Zoom, I wanted Okuba to explain the pricing issue. Zoom is free. There is part of it which is free, which you can be able to use. But this one sometimes is limited in terms of timing. So Okuba, you explain the timing aspect, the pricing aspect of it.
Okay, thank you so much, Guda. Now, with Zoom, we have what we call the basic plan and the licensed plan. Now, under basic plan, it allows you to host a meeting of up to 100 participants, but only for 40 minutes. So meaning, if you have, we are right now seated in this particular meeting, when we reach the 40th minute mark, almost towards the 40th minute mark, there is a counter as a host that you see on your screen, top center on your screen, counting down, like you have 9 minutes left, so it will count down. By the time it's over, that meeting will automatically end. So again, you have to tell the learners to go back and click the same link, like the link that was shared earlier. You click the same link and then come back again. You see? So again, you hold the second one. After 40 minutes, it cuts you off. Now, the challenge with this basic plan is this. Sometimes you're in the middle of a session, you have not even seen the timer, then all of a sudden the meeting breaks out. It even cuts you short in your flow of content. And again, you'll realize that some of the hiccups involved with the basic plan, the 40-minute issue is that the moment the learners break out, then joining back, you'll not get the 100% kind of joining, because some will even be tired, some will not even want to continue. So we are currently at 140 minutes in a Stockholm meeting. You come back, you are even less than 50. So other learners will join later on. You know, maybe mtu amesema ngoja kidogo nifanye hii. So it is a challenge. That's why if you can use what you call the Google Meet, I believe it does not have the issue of 40. It is endless. But again, if you want to continue using Zoom, there is what you call the licensed version. And licensed version, you have the pro version, whereby you pay around $14.99 US. This is around 1,670.80. And how do you pay this? You can pay this using your Visa card. You can pay this using a PayPal. And the good thing with this is that you are charged that for a month. So you can hold at least endless meetings for up to 24 hours, endless. Like we can sit here for 24 hours, then it cuts us off, then we begin again. The good thing also with that is that you're given 1 GB of cloud recording storage if you are licensed. And the moment you are licensed, of course, you will even see it from your account and stuff like that. So at least $14.99 US, but the participants are still 100. So if you want to increase the participants, again, you have to buy that option that costs you around $40. So that's on one of the meetings. Again, it's endless, but they can only accommodate 100. There are other meetings that are endless, but they can even accommodate up to 1,000 people. So the participant side, they're allowed to buy those options. The same with licensing for Zoom. So if you can, you can sacrifice and do that. At least it's not that much, I must say, but the licensed version comes with its own benefits compared to the basic plan. I believe that responds, Banaguda?
Yes, Bana Okuba. We can be able to do that. If you are able to subscribe, you can subscribe. If as a school, even as an individual, so that you're able to use that account to ensure that you engage your learners. I believe there's no any other question, so I give it back to Banebron.
Thank you so much, Buddha. We can appreciate him sorted to unmute. Tampigia coffee hapa. Let's unmute all of us and clap for him for the wonderful presentation. Let's unmute all of us. 1, 2, 3. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Mr. Buddha. The aspect of team teaching or team facilitation has really been demonstrated here. Distance is not a barrier anymore in teaching. You can see how, yes, Madam, your hand is up. Madam Anne? Oh, maybe she was testing. By the way, there is one aspect maybe my colleagues didn't touch on, which is very important to all of us as we will be handling learners or any other group of people whenever using Zoom. Now, if you check at the side, for those using laptops, if you check at the side, at your right side, bottom right side, you will see 3 dots. Now those 3 dots, if you click on those 3 dots, it will show you quite a number of things that you are supposed to do. Now it's important for you to know that you can actually raise up your hand and also lower your hand up. So that is an aspect that you need to train your learners, or rather whoever you will be dealing with, to actually be raising their virtual hands up whenever they want to talk and lowering them after talking. And also one etiquette when using Zoom that is of great importance. I can see Mr. Jindo has tried. Thank you, sir. Or you have a question? So as you are going up with the meeting, it is also very good if you'll be checking the participant side. Otherwise, some people will think as if you are ignoring whatever attempts they have to actually reach you. So it's good to be checking all the time at the participants lists and also at the chat box, so that you can maybe immediately, simultaneously actually respond to some of the things that are being raised. Then the other issue, as I end up, or rather as I wind up for this session, is actually the issue of recording. The host has the rights to record. Like right now, you can see I'm recording. I'm the host. Some people will try actually to record, but they will need to get the rights, or rather the permission from the host. So not everyone can actually record, but it's only when you are given the permission by the host. Now, before I give it to our next presenter, let me recognize and introduce one of us here. Francisca, if you can hear me, kindly introduce our guests, and then we'll give it to the next facilitator.
Thank you very much, Hebron. And before I introduce our guest, Guda and co-host, that was a very good presentation, because Zoom has become part and parcel of the online learning engagement that we are doing. And another aspect I was also keenly following is to, as you look at the participant signs, to ensure that you keep on reminding participants they only unmute when they're supposed to speak. There are cases you may find that some participants, like yesterday we had a case where someone was on, only their video was on, but the audio was not on. So it is clear that that person could not hear what you were talking about. So when you are dealing with learners that we are guiding, is to ensure that they are together with us, so we keep on checking. So today, again, we are honored to have Madam Jacqueline Burudi, who is a county manager Laikipia. Yesterday we had a representative, but today, because of the cross-learning we are doing in Jelimishe, she has joined us. So I'll give her an opportunity to introduce herself and say a few words before we move on. Karibu sana, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Francisca. Indeed, I'm glad to join this noble part of the training. I like what the facilitator has taken us through. No one is a guru in this thing. Sometimes you just find yourself, not observing a few etiquettes, but I think it is important, as the facilitator has reiterated, that it is important for you as the facilitator to always be keen to ensure that your participants especially are able to hear what you are saying, by ensuring that maybe their mic is on. It's just good to be sure that the children or the students will be able to follow the lessons. But generally, I'm also learning a lot, and for Laikipia, we are not yet here yet, because majorly we are a rural area, so technology is still a challenge to us. But with this cross-learning, we are able to pick some lessons that we are able to use and to enhance on how we can also reach a huge population of our beneficiaries through this Zoom platform, because we realize that every day the government is coming up with new policies, the community-based learning is going to, it's a court case. So I think the virtual way, I think, is the key thing, and we are glad to learn. So back to you, Francisca.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. And as we plan to roll out STEM online learning in the 3 counties, the coaches are up for grabs to support and cross-learning with their counterparts in Meru and Laikipia. Back to you, Hebron.
Thank you so much. Now we can give it back to Karanja, who is our next facilitator.
Good morning, my fellow educators.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Karanja.
Good morning, Mr. Karanja.
I'm Mr. Karanja from Sacred High School, and I'm going to take you through the best remote learning practices. My fellow coaches has taken you through various apps that you can use to facilitate remote learning. And I'm going to start straight away, and I'm going to put these questions to all of us, reflective questions. Number 1, what are your goals for remote learning? Number 2, what are your thoughts regarding synchronous versus asynchronous? And what do you think would be better for you and the learners? Number 3, what technology do your students have at home? How will that impact your remote learning plan? Number 4, when you look at your curriculum, what are the key concepts students must know? How do you plan to teach these concepts? How will you segment your materials to make it manageable for students? And the last reflective question is, what is your plan for assessment, and how frequently will you incorporate formative assessment, and what will you do for summative assessment? I want that to form those reflective questions to form our basis of this session. Those are our learning outcomes. I'm not going to dwell on them much. And I'm going to open my introduction by quoting Jennifer Fleming's. Teaching the internet age means we must teach tomorrow's skills today. So whatever skills we are going to use tomorrow, we must learn them today. Okay, as part of my introduction, many classes and school systems all over the world are taking steps to offer lessons online. But it's a bit challenging, and stepping into the digital world overnight can be challenging for many teachers. And this is what happened to us. The school were closed, and we not prepare ourselves for online teaching. Some teachers find the idea of remote teaching quite overwhelming, but it can be an excellent opportunity to develop new skills. So this is what we are doing now. We are taking advantage of this development to learn more skills. And this session is useful for teachers and teacher educators who need some advice on where to start. Okay, now getting started as a teacher. Where do you start? Because now we have been taken through Google Classroom. We have been taken through online assessment, through ExamNet, and also now we have been taken through how we can conduct our Zoom sessions. Now, as a teacher, where do you get started? Number one, don't reinvent the wheel. That is, there are a lot of reliable online teaching and learning materials already available. So there is no need to start from the scratch. I'm sure you know about, for example, Shule Fiti. The others called KCSE Online. They have so many materials. And I have one here, which I've been using. This one is KCSE, KCPE, exam revision materials. It's only 750 per year. I subscribed it myself, and it has so many teaching and learning materials. So as an educator, don't get worried that you don't have some soft notes, soft learning materials. Such a site can give you over 1,000 revision materials. It has notes, it has past KCSE, past papers, questions and answer. It has mocks, questions and answers, topical questions, and all sorts of materials are here. Therefore, don't worry yourself that you don't know where to start. So don't reinvent the wheel. Seek for these materials. They are everywhere in the internet, but make sure that you have your curriculum with you, you have your syllabus with you, so that you may vent that you are giving the students the right materials. Number two, on getting started, go global. Global is coming from the word global and local. And it is important to think about your own teaching situation and select the tools that are suitable for you and for your student. Don't select some app that you are not familiar with. Know your student, know yourself, and it is good to go global, but your students will benefit more if you choose tools and content that are applicable to your local context. So don't use a certain application because somebody else is using, but look at an application or a software that you are familiar with and the one that will benefit you and your students. Then less is more. Don't try to use all the available tools and resources. What really matters is, in your online lesson are three things. Number one, the quality of the materials that you're sharing with the students. That is what matters. Are they in tandem with the curriculum? Are they in tandem with the syllabus? The quality is the key. Then engagement. What is your level of engagement with your learners? If you talk for 40 minutes, you will bore the learners. So check various ways in which you are going to engage the learner throughout the lesson. And then focus. Remain focused on what you are doing and what the curriculum asks you to do. Then last one there, join the party. Get connected with a wider teaching community to share best practices and seek support when you have doubts. Mr. John has said that ask for help. If you are trying to use the Google Classroom that you were taught yesterday, and you are not sure what you are doing, whether it is right or wrong, instead of getting stuck when you are dealing with a student, just ask for help. We have the Elimisha WhatsApp group for English and math teachers. Ask questions there. We have teacher coaches, you have your fellow teachers. Ask questions anytime you have doubts in what you are doing. Okay, now, when you are preparing the online lesson, just prepare it the way we normally prepare our traditional lessons in school. But the most important thing is you must start with the end in the mind. What do you want your learners to achieve at the end of the session? So that is what will guide you. One, the kind of the concept that you want the learners to learn. Two, the level of engagement. So start with the end in the mind so that you may be able to navigate towards achieving the learning outcomes. Something which is very important for online or remote learning, think project-based learning. We are going to look at asynchronous versus synchronous learning. Don't just end the lesson and just ask the learners that you meet next time. Give them a project to do, something that will engage them offline, and they can present that particular concept in the next lesson, or they can post it in Google Classroom. Then outline the process of setting up a virtual classroom and find out about use of software that you will use for virtual learning. That one is very important. And I keep on saying, don't use a software before testing it. Prepare yourself, and the most important thing, you must be familiar with e-safety policy. For example, use of pictures and videos. If you are using pictures for our learners, there is e-safety policy for that. Make sure that you keep yourself with the e-safety policies. Also videos, ensure that you download the videos and watch them from the beginning to the end before sharing with the learners. So that you will be able to know whether that particular video that you want to show the learners, it will help you to achieve the learning objectives. Now, prepare your class content very well and study what you will teach before you share it with the learner. Every time you are preparing for your lessons or remote learning lessons, don't forget teaching students the lifelong skills. Those who have done MC, these are called the 21st century teaching and learning rubrics. And they are also in CBC. In CBC, that is, we have communication and collaboration. Make sure that you incorporate that in your learning, in your remote learning. Critical thinking and problem solving, that is very important. Ensure that you engage students in critical thinking, provoke them, question them so that you may provoke their thinking. And you must use imagination and creativity. Ask the students to use videos when answering certain concepts and post them in Google Classroom. Citizenship, digital literacy, learning to learn, and self-efficacy. That is a whole topic altogether on those skills. The most important thing, I have narrowed them into three: collaboration, communication, and creativity. Ensure your remote learning lesson does not lack the minimum, these three: collaboration, communication, and creativity. And prepare your classroom. For example, if you are using Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, change the theme. Yesterday I saw Vincent had changed the theme of the Google Classroom. Assign your learners to class. For example, if you are teaching a certain class and there are two, for example, Form 4 Red, Form 4 Blue, or Form 4 North, Form 4 South, ensure that you assign those students in your Google Classroom. Prepare the meeting room. If you're using Google Meet, Zoom, or Teams, and I have put some various softwares there that you can use. That is some application, for example, Vendamo, CISO, we have Kaizara, we have Jamboard, we have WhatsApp. I'm sure most of us, we are using WhatsApp. We have Edmond, Papomash, and then we have Kahoot, we have YouTube, Literacy Planet. There are many, 1,001 applications that you can use in remote learning. Now, choose what will work for you. Don't use, for example, Papomash, and you're not familiar with it. And even the students, you have not taken students through Papomash. If at the moment you are using WhatsApp, you are comfortable in using WhatsApp, use WhatsApp. But again, don't get stuck there. You must migrate. Just try to migrate to Google Meet, to Google Classroom, and so on and so forth. And practice the technology that we'll use. Form a group with your teachers or your friends. Practice that particular technology before you share with the learners. This is the most important thing. Do not assume that all your students have excellent digital skills and will know exactly what to do. And it is a good idea for you to prepare them for your virtual class by sending them some instructions on how to log in, set up their audio and mic. Already we have been taken through that, and therefore you can also train your students to do that. But again, on the other hand, don't underestimate the value of learner training. It is useful to dedicate your first online lesson on familiarizing your students with the platform and tools they'll be using. So you can dedicate your first lesson, your first online lesson to help the students and to send some background information. Okay. Now, when you are teaching, now already you have set up your class. For example, you're using Google Classroom. Now you can teach synchronously. That is when you and your students are online in a live lesson at the same time. For example, what we are doing right now, that is synchronous teaching. So when you are live together with your students, that is what we call synchronous teaching. For example, when you're using Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Skype, or any other video conferencing. Or you can teach asynchronously. That is when you and your students are doing tasks and activities at different times. For example, using forums and social media, or working on downloaded tasks and activities. And choose your approach based on what you know about your students and your own teaching context. But usually a combination of synchronous and asynchronous teaching is a good idea. Now, asynchronous, it's good to use it because it is hard to get students, all the students at the same time. Because in our case, some students will tell you that I don't have a phone, I'll only have my phone in the evening when my brother or when my sister or my parents come in from work. That is when I can access my phone. And therefore, you can post those, your assessment in Google Classroom and set the deadline for doing that assignment. And now, anytime during the day, the students can do your work. Now, very briefly, let me go through the difference between asynchronous learning and synchronous learning. Number one difference when it comes to asynchronous learning, occurring at different times and in different places. For example, students working at home. Synchronous learning is occurring at the same time in the same place. I said what we are doing right now. Students working in the classroom or meeting online for a video conference session, for example, Zoom. So Zoom is a very good example of synchronous learning. And then Google Classroom is a good example of asynchronous learning. Now, students can access content, resources, activities at any time and from everywhere. That is asynchronous learning. But on the other hand, synchronous learning, students can access content, resources, and activities at a specific time and location. For example, I'll keep on giving an example of what we're doing right now from 8:30 onwards to 12:30. That is specific time and specific location. Location is a Zoom meeting. Time is the one that have been allocated for the Zoom meeting. Students can control time, place, and pace of their learning. That is asynchronous learning. On the other hand, synchronous learning, Students may have some control over the pace of their learning, but they do not control the time or the place. And that is in Google Classroom. And lastly, on asynchronous learning, students work independently to complete assignment and tasks. But on synchronous learning, students have access to teachers and peer support while completing assignments and tasks. We have been just told about the Google breakout rooms, and the students, they can do that. Now, don't feel the need to try and use multiple platforms. Just use one. If it is Zoom, it is Zoom for that particular time. But you can choose one or two that are free, easy to set up, and have the features that you really need. If you want to teach synchronously, you might want to choose one video conferencing platform, for example, Skype, Google Meet, Zoom, etc. And one platform for sharing information and documents. For example, we have a Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams, and where you leave important messages for your students and post assignments. So Google Classroom is a perfect one for posting assignments for students. Then think carefully about how you will share information, especially when using video conferencing, that is Zoom. You can explain, but also show by sharing PowerPoint. What we have been doing, we are sharing PowerPoint slides. You might also find some useful short videos online that explain important concepts. And you can start with those videos, or at the middle of the lesson, you can put those videos to emphasize the concept that you are teaching. And it is good to create some housekeeping rules. That is very important, to create some housekeeping rules at the beginning of the Zoom meeting. And make sure your learners, especially the younger learners, their parents are aware of online safety precautions. And therefore, this is what I'm going to say. You do not need to become a tech guru for you to do all what you have been doing. You don't need to become a guru for you to conduct a remote lesson. Focus on the basic tools and features of the platform that you need. For example, muting, we have been taken through that, muting and unmuting students. And this is very useful to manage background noise, and using breakout rooms is useful for group discussions. And also plan a simple structure for your lesson to follow. For example, have a lead in, an icebreaker. Remember, you are not teaching these students one-on-one. You are not seeing them. So have an icebreaker, introduce yourself, greet them. You are the one who will determine the mood of the students. If you start in a very low tempo, then that is what will happen, and the students will not be motivated. So the lead in or the icebreaker is very important. Language input, controlled practice, free practice, error correction, and summary. And again, think about which of these things need to be done synchronously and which can be done offline, that is asynchronously. Remember to make the learners aware of the lesson focus or objectives at the beginning. That one we have been doing, so don't forget that. Even when you're using remote learning, start with the objectives, or what we call learning outcomes, and use slides with interesting visuals rather than a lot of text to keep students engaged. For example, I'm using a lot of text, so if I'm teaching students, maybe they could have been bored a long time ago. Then personalize your activities. Use parents, siblings, pets, and home surrounding as asset of learning. Interviewing a parent or other caregiver would be an engaging speaking and writing activity. If it is in poem or something like that, or they're explaining a certain concept in maths, let them have a video and upload that video in Google Classroom. Now, I'm almost through. Now, online assessment. Can it be done in a virtual class? The answer there is yes. Sorry for that. Sorry for that, okay. Assessment can be done in a virtual class, it is true. And there are I have narrowed to about 4. Questioning, peer assessment, self-assessment, and feedback. Now, questioning is used to enact evidence of learning. So you must ask students some questions, either using Kahoot or using Google Form, and so on and so forth, so that you may know whether learning has taken place or not. Then you can use peer assessment. For example, 2 students can solve a maths problem or interpret a poem in 2 different ways. A student with a different answer is asked to explain how he got that particular answer. And this peer assessment can be used to address misconceptions. So peer assessment is very important. And then we have self-assessment, which is good for the student because they will correct themselves. And feedback is done to avoid learner making the same mistake. So ensure that you do your assessment, online assessment, you do the questioning, peer assessment, self-assessment, and feedback. Think about a range of ways in which your students can receive feedback. So in Google Classroom, I keep on referring Google Classroom because that is what we were taught yesterday. We were shown on how you can give feedback to the students. Alongside your feedback, self and peer evaluation are also helpful to keep them engaged and focused. So let the students be engaged and let them remain focused because you are giving feedback. Your feedback should be ongoing. It should be ongoing, but you need to decide on how, on where, on why, when, and how to provide feedback. So feedback should be an ongoing thing. It's not an one time activity, but it should be ongoing. And depending on the task and the resources available for your students, they might turn in their work as text, audio, or video files, images of their work. Tell them to take photos of their work and upload them in Google Classroom. Videos, they can take videos reciting a poem or explaining a certain concept in math and so on and so forth. They can record audio through podcasts and upload them in Google Classroom. They can use Google Docs to type and upload them in Google Classroom. And the most important thing, you must set deadlines for students to do the tasks you have set up. And also, you can also set some time aside during the week to conduct a live session for questions. Don't just give questions and marking. Don't give questions and marking. They will get bored. Just dedicate to 1 lesson a week where you can answer questions from the students, from the assignments that you have given. For learners, keep parents or the caregivers informed about the technology you are using, why and how you are using it. Now, my fellow educators, your time and energy are valuable resources, and consider asking your students to do some tasks on their own, that is, asynchronously, and create a safe and inclusive learning environment where students feel comfortable to flag up any unacceptable online behavior. Be free with the students. Don't be too strict to them. Let them have that free environment with them so that in case there is a cyber bullying or some e-safety measures which they are not comfortable with, they can tell you and they can share with you. So don't be too strict to this, with the students. during the remote learning sessions. Now, as I finish, I have decided to share those apps that you can use during remote learning. We have Zoom, and we have a variety of them, which I have tried to explain here. Now, Google Forms, Kaizara, and Microsoft Forms can be used for quizzes, short questions, and one can submit the work online. So you can use either of the three. Then we have Kahoot for setting quizzes, Purple Mash for activities and projects. This one is very nice for activities and projects. We have Edmond for setting tasks. You give them some tasks here, and then they can answer them, and you can get the feedback from the students. We have the common one, the YouTube videos, but you must watch to the end before sharing with the students, and it's very important. And something I'm going to say at this point, don't share live YouTube videos when you have remote learning. Don't share. Download your YouTube video. Then you can show the students after you download it from your device. And remember to watch that video from the beginning to the end. And lastly, we have Literacy Planet, which is for improving the levels of literacy, especially for the English teachers. We have Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom, and also OneNote. And lastly, as I finish, remember, e-learning does not mean that all activities must be carried out online. You can choose 2 or 3 activities, not all. And therefore, give learners some projects to do. And start looking at the environment and solve some problem. Now, we have what we call success criteria. And this is the question that you're supposed to ask yourself as an educator. Students should know what to do in order to succeed. Allow the students to know. In Google Classroom, we have where we put criteria or the rubrics, which the students should follow in order to succeed, and make them aware that you must follow this rubric in order for you to succeed. And then, how will you know that the students have learned what they are supposed to learn? As an educator, I'm going to leave you with that question. How will you know that the students have learned what they are supposed to learn? Because you're not seeing them. This is not face-to-face learning, it is remote learning. They are at home and you are maybe at your place. And keep the students busy learning. Have a clearly defined rubrics for assignments. Apart from me being a teacher coach, I am a Microsoft Innovator Educator Expert, and we are privileged to give certificates for teachers who attend such. So I want you to copy that redeem code and redeem your certificate. Copy it somewhere. I'm going to give you 1 minute to copy. Then those teachers who have are members of Microsoft Education Center. Today is normally called Microsoft Education Center. You can go to your profile and redeem that certificate. If you are not a member of Microsoft Educator community or center, please do so. Register yourself. You can chat with me, and then you can put that code so that you can earn your certificate. And this is how you do. You go to your Microsoft Educator community. Under your profile, there is a Redeem Achievement Code. Click there, and in the second picture here, put that code, and you're going to get a certificate for that. Thank you for listening to me. I don't know whether there is questions. Yeah. Hebron and my co-host check whether we have questions from our fellow teachers so that we may answer them.
Yeah. Yes, Bwana Karanja, thank you for that wonderful presentation on the chat option. People are just asking if you could maybe share your presentation later with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can share. Before I end my session, remember I have talked about assessment. I want us to take 5 minutes to do assessment here. And I'm going to share with you a Kahoot. How can you do a Kahoot online with the students? That is what I want us to do right now. Now, I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
You have not enabled sharing, Bwana Karanja?
Oh, okay. Just a minute. Now, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I want us to do a Kahoot so that we can actually do that with our students. Just for 5 minutes, I want you to open a browser and write Kahoot, kahoot.it. If you are using a phone, please split the screen. Split your screen, and the screen that is below the second screen, write Kahoot.it. And then we attempt to do this Kahoot so that we will learn how to do it with our learners. Because it is important for us to do assessment when we are doing remote teaching. So do that. That is the game pin. Just open a new tab and type www.kahoot.it. Or if you're using your phone, split the screen. And yeah, I can see Okuba Vincent. I can see Mohammed. I can see Guda. We have 3 prayers. I can see Wish. I can see several teachers. Fatma. We have 8 prayers. Let us have more. At least let us have 15 or 20 players, if not all. 9. We are waiting for you. Eight players. Somebody have left. Let us have more joining. 9, 10. Thank you, Nancy. I can see you. Betty, Zippy, Buxton, 12 prayers. Thank you. Douglas, Ahmad. Let us have more, at least 20. Thank you for those who are joining. Now we have 13. Wish Mwenyewe is there, 14th player. Let us have more, at least 20. Okay, maybe the rest can join. Oh, 15. Let us have 5 more, 16. Thank you, JK. I can see you have joined. Fatima. Sorry, Dad, I can see you. Let us have 4 more. Okay. I think we can start. The rest you can join as we progress with the questions. Okay. We have 11 seconds, 9 seconds. Hurry up. 3 seconds, 2, 1, 0. We have 7 who got it correct. That's nice. The rest did not get it correct. You can see Okuba is leading. The next question, be ready. We have only 20 seconds to answer the question. Thirteen, 12, 11, 9, 8, 5 seconds, 1. At least now we have 17 questions. It's also called virtual learning. I can see you are good students, you are listening. Vincent is leading, followed by Magdalene, Nancy, Abel. I can see Godiensis also is there. Thank you. Live lesson is also called. Live lesson is also called. 10 seconds remaining. 7, 5, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 1. Aha. It is also called synchronous learning. Congratulations. Oh, Hebron is up.
The guest is on fire.
That's so nice. Next question, be ready. We have only 20 seconds per question. You can use dash for formative assessment. Ten seconds remaining. 9, 7, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 1. Yeah, Kahoot, quizzes, Google Forms. You can use
Hi, colleagues. Kenya Power imefanya maneno, stima imeenda island. So Karanja has been thrown out of, of the session. So there's no problem. He will join us shortly. So I'm now giving this chance to Madam Abeid. You'll allow me to a little bit change the topic. Sorry, I mean the program, because Madam Abeid will be leaving for another meeting. Madam Abeid, if you can hear me, kindly, the chance is yours. Welcome. Madam Abeid? Yeah, it's still my name. Yes, welcome, madam.
Thank you. You had muted me, Mr. Magud. You're the host. Okay. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk before a session that was before me, because I have to go for other meeting. Good morning again. It's still morning. I know I may not be able to hear your responses because all of you are muted. However, I know for as long as you can hear me, and I hope also I want to go off air like Dixon. A lot has been said about the various applications, the various tools to be used, and also so much has been said about ICT integration. I will try to be as brief as possible because I don't want to repeat what of this training, so as to equip the teachers with additional tools or applications that can enable them to engage their students while they're at home. I just wish that this training had come a bit earlier than now. But as they say, ghost timing is, maybe if the training was done a bit earlier, a good number of them would have found it very relevant or important because they would have seen the need to use the online learning as we are seeing now. So maybe the timing is quite right. That actually now we can see that the so that when they come back, we don't have to do a lot of damage control. It is more than 10 years now, I believe, when the ministry have been talking about ICT integration education. And although some trainings have been going on, they have mostly concentrated on the basic skills in the using of the ICT tools. And then to the point that they have to become creative on how they can use those tools in engaging learners in class. However, still that knowledge that has been gained by teachers through those trainings have been underutilized because still majority of teachers are not using ICT in teaching and learning in schools. And despite it on be on the TPAD, people are still having problems using ICT. Again, it's around 5 years or 3 ago when Gelemiche had trained a good number of teachers on a Microsoft certified educator. I've had one of the coaches being very proud, announcing himself as one of those beneficiaries. It is good to use it in empowering your students. The training now is actually very relevant. It's looking at the tools that can be used by the teachers. SMASE also is doing something similar. They're mainly measuring on the Google Classroom, and teachers are doing a lot of assignment there. I believe once they come out, they'll be very competent in using Google Classroom in the teaching of the learners. I believe by now when we hear about all those tools that can be used, we are able also to differentiate between using of ICT tools in teaching and learning and ICT integration, and therefore able to score adequately in our when it comes to assessment time. Because all the time when it comes to that area, a lot of arguments that somebody believes that they should score very highly when actually they have not utilized all the required avenues in doing what is required as use of ICT in teaching and learning, as well as ICT integration. The current generation of learners learns best when ICT is used, or when ICT is integrated in the teaching and learning. And when we refuse to use that, then we are doing our learners a disservice. Because the learners that we have now are very short attention span. And when we use a variety of methods, then we're able to interest them in the learning process, and they're able to get the content, understand it better, and therefore able to also argue out their points effectively. From the time we have closed schools due to the pandemic, our counterparts in the private schools have continued with their teaching and learning. Initially, most of them were using WhatsApp in engaging their learners. But by term 2, they have already moved on to different tools and applications to be used in engaging their learners while at home. I've heard of some using WebEx, others Google Classroom, we have Zoom, we have Teams, all of those being used by different schools. And funny enough, those students who are engaged using those applications were never taken through how to use the application. They were just guided briefly by the teacher just to log in, then you do this, and within a short time, they have adapted and they continued with their learning. So you can see how fast they can be able to learn how to use technology in carry out various activities. It's as teachers, we are afraid and we shy away from using that technology. In our school, we used WhatsApp because we thought that majority will be able to access And although it had its own challenges, but at least majority were able to access the content that we were giving through the WhatsApp. And a few were able to use Zoom, depending on the type of students they have and if they were able to log in. Others use Google Classroom, but majority were using the WhatsApp. And even though the teachers initially were having problems in teaching using ICT, I could see a lot of creativity coming up when they were teaching using WhatsApp. And we were able to reach almost around 75% of our students. We began with the phone phones only first. After a few weeks, we thought, no, because we are going to take longer outside, we had to include all the other groups. However, with the announcement of the schools opening in January and students repeating the year, majority lost interest. In fact, some parents were thinking, why waste money in buying bundles when this child will go on repeat the same content next year? What we are forgetting that we may repeat the year, but we don't necessarily need to repeat the content. We can always move on. We have always thought about needing extra time with the students so that we can be able to complete the syllabus in good time and give time for more revision. And here we are, we have been given that chance, and we are saying that we'll be wasting our time, our money, if we start learning now and repeat the year. Those in private, imagine, have been going on with the lessons from ECD level to secondary. And they're busy learning, while most of us in public, immediately we closed, we went for holidays. With a few schools maybe engaging their phone calls, either in collecting scripts to go and read and write notes or answer some questions, while a good number with WhatsApp, and then a good number sharing just content through WhatsApp for the students to use without proper guidance. And you know, with a lot of time on their hands and nothing good to engage them, then they had to look for something else to do. It's no wonder we're having cases of pregnancies being reported, being on the high. We are in COVID area. We're not supposed to be socializing. Yet our learners have socialized, have gotten pregnant, but they didn't get COVID. So our numbers of COVID are very low compared to the pregnancy cases. And sometimes you wonder, which is the pandemic here, the pregnancy or the COVID? If we were able to engage our learners from the beginning, if we had actually sat down immediately and put our heads together, thought of how we can engage our learners, I think we would have saved a good number of them. I'm actually worried what, apart from the pregnancy, what other vices our students are engaging in at the moment, and how will they come back? What kind of damage control we need to do for them to be able to come back to their normal or the level we want them to be so we can continue learning comfortably. I hope that, and I think where in urban areas where majority may have been engaged and have been kept busy, I think that is why also the pregnant cases were a bit fewer. But now with the repetition in mind, and that now some are giving up on the learning until next year, then they are going to move on to those vices. Well, I hope that with these tools that we have gained, the knowledge we have gained, we are going to use it to engage our learners, bring them back so that they become busy, they remain focused. That it will be easier when they come back to continue from where we have left. Again, if teachers had embraced ICT from long time ago, there would not have been problems of teachers having difficulties getting permission to be away from work, because wherever they will be, they could always organize for their lessons to continue going on despite them being absent physically from school. And I think in the process, we will not be having issues of missed lessons and lagging behind in syllabus coverage as we are having now, where now we have to look for extra time to teach and be at par with the rest. And mind you, the teams and other criminals are also upgrading themselves continuously with technology for them to remain in business. So what about this teacher who needs that knowledge more so that they can keep abreast of what is happening, the changes that are taking place, and also able to assist the learners in learning, whether they're in school or whether they're at home. We need to always upgrade ourselves, and we don't need to wait for our employer or for our school to organize for us any trainings. We need to go out of our way to look for how we can be able to capacity build ourselves with relevant content that can assist us in doing our work better. For those who, after going through the trainings, have taken a step ahead to make themselves more knowledgeable, they have moved forward. Some of them have even exited and moved to other greener pastures, better opportunities than, I'm not saying teaching is not a better profession, but it doesn't mean that we have to remain stagnant where we are. We need to grow professionally. The only way to grow is not just being a deputy and a principal, but we can always grow and move out to other areas where our knowledge will be needed to assist in building the nation, in assisting the citizens of our country to move forward. And I concur with Dixon that you don't have to use all of those applications in teaching. You should check what is you're comfortable with, what your learners can be able to use and comfortable with, so that you can continue with the teaching and learning process, wherever they are. Now, this pandemic has taught us that we need to remain relevant. We need to be always keeping abreast with technology. Things are changing. In other countries where they have been hardly hit, learning had continued up to now. They have not had a problem. And I think maybe some of the limiting factors we have had is the cost of the tools required and maybe the internet to both maybe the teachers and the learners. Otherwise, if this could have been affordable, I think we won't be having a lot of problems in ensuring that our learners are engaged wherever they are until when they resume. Well, I think it is time we think of bringing them back. Even those where we have to shelve because of poor responses from the learners. Otherwise, they're going to have more problems when they come back. We need to engage these learners. We need to mentor them if possible. We need to impart the values, the skills that they will need. I know there's most of them now are engaged in various activities. Some are already, they are maybe hawking around some goods, they are making money, others have gotten themselves into relationships, and we may have some of them dropping in the process because of being away for too long, maybe getting themselves hooked in things they cannot move out from, or maybe they have found a way of making an income and find that if they come back, they'll be wasting time and leaving the money out there. So as teachers, I think we need to start looking of how we can bring them back on board. We engage them in the learning process, whether it is a revision, at least they remain busy so that that content does not disappear from their head. When they have been in school throughout, you'll find that in one exam they're performing, other exam they're performing poorly because they're already doing the exams. Now imagine now, especially when you have opening cuts, performance is very poor. But once they remain in school and they're in constant contact with their books, performance starts improving in the other exams. Now, what about now when they have remained at home for over 6 months and around almost a year they'll be at home? When they come back, how much will they be able to remember? If when they remain at home for only 1 month, 3 weeks, they have a problem in remembering the content that was covered earlier. What about now when they are remaining at home for almost a year? We are going to have a lot of problems. So it is important that we find ways of bringing them back, of assisting them to remain focused and continue learning. As has been said, use whatever means that you are comfortable with and ensure that even if it is preparing handouts, preparing pamphlets for them to collect, they go, they do, if it's revision questions, they bring them back, you mark, you give them feedback, and we continue until we resume. We are hearing that we might even resume earlier than January, I don't know when, maybe in October. And our learners have to be ready to come back to school. So I think we need to do something about our learners, assist them to remain focused. And with that, I want to say thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Madam Abate, for those wonderful words. We can unmute all of us and appreciate Madam for those wonderful words. Let's unmute. To unmute to appreciate. Okay, Madam. Thank you so much for those wonderful words. Indeed, it is true that as teachers, we need to think ahead actually for the issue of sustainability and inclusivity. Yes, we will be engaging learners who are online, but also let us not forget to include learners, to engage learners who are not also accessing online learning. She has talked about printed materials being shared with those learners. Yes, indeed, it will go a long way into making sure that all learners are actually accessing learning content and are busy at some point. So I want to take this opportunity now to invite 2 of our teachers. I don't want to pick on you. We can go the volunteering way. We have 1 male and 1 female to actually share their experiences about the whole forum since yesterday. Anyone who can actually talk? Okay, I can see it's taking long. Maybe I can pick on one. Madam Lois Njuki, if you can hear me. Yes, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, your hand is up. Go ahead and. Yes, Madam Elizabeth. Oh, I can see hands. Madam Elizabeth.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, this is Betty.
Yes.
Yes, can allow me to say something as we wait for others.
Yes, yes, please. Yes, you can.
Okay. Mine is, I would say that the learning has been insightful since yesterday. I've been taking notes, and to add on the notes I've been taking, I've practically gone ahead and created the Google classes. And yesterday I shared what I did with Mr. Wishaminya, who has been my mentor. And even I created a quiz in the examiner. I told him to go through it, and also created my account. And also from today, I've learned a lot about the Zoom classes and how to manage the learners in the classes, how to let them in, how to actively involve them to make sure that they are participating and that they are present, how to Google around, taking the participants, have them in the video, allow them to talk, unmute them. And also Mr. Karanja's presentation, which was so exciting. Also excited answering the Kahoot questions and time limits. Yeah, it's been awesome, and thank you so much.
That is really wonderful, madam. I'm really happy to hear those wonderful words, especially now that you have tried to put into practice whatever was shared yesterday. And we have been very much careful not to use the word training throughout the 2 days period. We have been talking about sessions and forums. That is actually the spirit, because no one knows more. We learn continuously, and therefore this is just a session to actually collaborate and cross-learn. Therefore, keep on keeping on, madam. Mr. Musa.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abraham. I won't put my video on. You'll bear me for that. But nevertheless, I want to appreciate the fact that I've learned a lot, despite the fact that I just get
Mr. Musa, we can't hear you.
much for the presentation. Finally, to the organizers and the teachers in general, if we really input this, it will come handy to assist us. If we have not yet started, we can start from where we are. The Google Classroom, I didn't know, but with the help of one of our ICT champions, you know her, was able to teach me a little bit of that, and we have been using. So I really want to appreciate for the whole session. You're not calling it a training, but I can say it is a training in some way also. Thank you, Mr. Abraham, and thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Musa, for actually winding it up so well. I also take this opportunity to welcome on board our county director, Dr. Samuel Marigat, is on board right now. Welcome so much. We are in the middle of our session today, and the teachers are sharing. Yeah, they're actually sharing feedback on what has happened since yesterday. Yeah, so now that we have given our feedback, I am biased actually to maybe give 2 more teachers to share and what will be our action plan as we move forward. Getting knowledge is one thing and implementation is another. So we need to have an action plan of how we will roll this out. How do we make sure that we have a plan for engaging learners virtually and those who are not also in the online platforms? How do we engage them? And how does the project come in to assist you to do this? And also our greatest partners here, TSC, this commission, how do they also come in to assist you teachers in making this a success? So I want to give 2 more teachers to give us a plan we shall work with, what other teachers will follow, and then also hear from one coach. That will be Madam Nancy. I'll give Madam Nancy this chance to share what as coaches they feel will be an action plan moving forward. So let's have 2 teachers and then we'll have Madam Nancy finalize as a coach and then we'll continue from there. Any volunteer? Yes, Madam Evelyn. Evelyn Muruli?
Yes, Hebron.
Yeah, tell us what you feel.
I'm more enlightened, and at least I have more confidence in using ICT in teaching and learning.
Oh, thank you. You're done, madam?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. So maybe I rephrase what I was saying is we have 2 sets of teachers here, the teachers of English and teachers of mathematics. So what do you want it done as teachers of English? What will you do from now onwards? And what the teachers of mathematics do moving forward so that whatever we have shared, we have learned for the days will be put into practice. Can we have Madam Nancy? Madam Nancy from Coast Girls? Madam Nancy, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Hebron.
Yes, please. Go on.
I want to appreciate the team, Jelimisha team, for what they are doing. Actually, we've come from far. Sorry, I missed yesterday's session. We had some engagement in the school, but I've gotten a lot today. I would say, like my colleagues have said, we've received lots of insight. And I think moving forward as teachers of English and literature, we need to work with our coaches closely so that they assist us in forming those groups. We already have one group, I think, going that has both teachers teaching mathematics and English, but I think we need to form our own for the language teachers and see how we can engage our learners even more. I think what Madam Abeid, the principal Makandegas, has shared, it's the same challenge everywhere. We had WhatsApp groups like in our school, and we also tried Zoom. But again, initially we had good response. The students were quite enthusiastic and parents were buying bundles and we were doing well. But unfortunately we lost it after the announcement that learning would continue from where we had stopped. And what I would say is if Jelimishe can support us, I think we had discussed this sometimes back, if we can have at least internet, yeah, for our learners. Some of them would really want to be online, do all these activities. And I think what Karanja has shared today on how we can have interesting sessions. You see, with learners, like right now when they're home, when you're not seeing them physically in class, you have to have something. We have to have a lot of innovation. We have to keep them engaged throughout. So our online classes have to be alive and quite lively for them to feel like, yes, I shouldn't miss this lesson tomorrow. And I shouldn't miss this lesson any other time. Otherwise, if it gets too boring, like what Karanja was saying, if it's just a text, then you'd lose so many of them. Maybe the engagement then will not be consistent. You'll have 15 learners today, tomorrow you have 4, you have 5, you have 20. But if we have something that can engage them fully, a lively session where they're going to participate fully, like now, if we can take them through that uploading of some videos, if it's a presentation, if you ask a learner a question like the peer teaching he was talking about, if we can have the learners uploading these things themselves, then we make them feel that they're also able to do it. And you see now, if we engage them that way, then it would be just like we're having a one-on-one session with them. I think it is good what Jelimisha is doing for our teachers, and I just pray that this keeps on so that we get more insights into online teaching. I think we are also gaining a lot on this digital literacy, and I just want to appreciate all the organizers. I also want to appreciate our principals who are on board. It's quite an encouragement. Again, even having our county director with us, I think it makes us feel really we are doing something good and we should continue. Working as a team, I want to appreciate Jelimisha so much for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Nancy, for that. What I've picked from you is one, that yes, we have a group for the literacy and teachers, but we also need to actually have one specifically for the teachers of English and one specifically for teachers of mathematics, so that you can engage at an expert level. If it is teachers of mathematics, actually will be engaging on mathematics and vice versa also for English. And I've also picked another one that the coaches actually will be instrumental in spearheading discussions on doing this in those groups. I really concur with that. So as an action point that we have picked here, which I need our coaches will do right away, is to divide that group we have, literacy numeracy group, not abandoning it, but actually having it divided into literacy and numeracy, so that you can have specific engagements going on in these groups. Then another one on the issue of the project supporting more. I think this will be school-based, depending on what the teachers will raise with their principals in conjunction with us. Mary is in charge of, Mary Wambugu here, who will be talking shortly, is in charge of teaching and learning. And your engagement as teachers with her will really give a way forward on how you can engage learners and parents in home learning. So I now give an opportunity to a male teacher. I will pick here from my list to save on time. So, Mr. Silas Atsulu, if you are there. Silas Asulu Miritini. Mr. Silas, if you can hear me. Okay. Maybe this is what Mr. Okuba was cautioning us about having videos not able. Okay. So we can have, I think I can get another one from the list here. Mr. Abel Nyakora from Maweni. Oh yes, Mr. Asulu is back. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we can hear you, sir. Mr. Asulu. Okay, then you can give it to Mr. Abel. Mr. Nyakora. Okay, Mr. Josephat Okemwa from Kajembe. Oh. Kindly unmute yourself and then talk. I'll do it from my end. Okay, to save on time, I think I'll just speak now on a lady teacher because Mr. Walter, are you there? From Changamwe? Before I go to the female teachers. Okay. So we can have Madam Widava. Madam Widava?
Hello.
Yes.
It's almost noon, but I was confused about afternoon. Good morning, teachers.
Yeah, good morning. Can hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry I've not been around most of the time because of network issues, but I've been around from yesterday. I've listened to quite a number of things that have been discussed, the Google Classrooms, the engagement of learners, and so on. And I want to believe this has been quite a mind-boggling experience, especially for some of us who went to the villages, and it was quite an experience. You know, we are away from town, we are away from so many people, we are in the villages working and so on. So even getting this chance to meet colleagues is quite an encouragement. I'm very pleased. Thank you very much, Jelimisha, for organizing this, training. Some of the things that the lecturer, Mr. Okuba, Mr. Guda, Mr. Karanja, and Mr. Wishaminya talked about. Of course, as much as we are in town and as much as we are phones, so we didn't have the first-hand experience on laptops. But I wrote my notes. I want to believe that once I'm settled, I will try to practice that. And I want to believe it. Of course, once we get to our laptops, which of course are not here now. But I want to believe I've learned a lot, and I feel like I'm a step ahead from where I was. It was always the WhatsApp group and the Zoom, but now we've learned quite a bit, especially from the Google Classroom. I want to believe I'll practice it and it will be quite an experience for our learners. The only thing is that we have a problem with the net, like we have seen. Most of our students are not online, even on the WhatsApp groups. So once the Jellymisha tries to get us internet, it will be quite good. And I want to believe our students will be appreciative the same way we have appreciated. Thank you very much, and may you have a good afternoon, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Widava. Now, in the interest of time, I think we can stop there. Give it back to Madam Nancy for 1 minute, way forward, and then we move on. Madam Nancy Okeo.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Special appreciation to our county director being present in our forum. I'm Nancy Okeo, or Mrs. Okots, and Charles. I'm sure you can see me there. All right, I'll enable my video later. I think this has been very encouraging from yesterday. I'm a teacher coach myself, but I learn a lot from my fellow teacher coaches. And yesterday and today has also been eye-opening. And I know most of you in this forum have also learned a lot. There's something about our present, the present teacher. We have to be ready to unlearn and learn every now and then. Technology is with us, and this is the way forward, especially now during the COVID-19 period where students are not in school. We just have to engage ourselves in this technology. We cannot run away from it. We know COVID came and nobody had trained us on any of the ways to engage students, but interactions and learning from each other here and there, we have acquired a lot of skills. And I'm sure yesterday and today, we acquired a lot more than what we already knew before. Even me personally, I acquired more. We've been engaging students from March. Immediately they were sent back, some of us, coaches and other teachers. But remember, there are some techniques we didn't know. We started with WhatsApp. A good number of us have just been using WhatsApp. But there are many other ways in which we can engage them. And remember, we also need to assess them. That is why we learned things like the Google Classroom yesterday. It helps us to assess our students using Google Forms. And we can give immediate feedback. You see, through quizzes, the Kahoot that Karanja was talking about in the morning, we can give immediate feedback and students know how far they have gone. Personally, I have learned how to give an essay online and even mark it and give feedback on every paragraph. I never knew that was possible before this year, let me admit. Yeah, but through my fellow coaches, Mr. Okuba, especially, and the others, we will learn a lot. So it's an opportunity to learn. Sorry. And then as far as the groups, Madam Nancy, of course, guys were talking about the groups. We normally have a WhatsApp for English learning online. For teachers of English, and we've made the teachers admins. We also have students on board. I think maybe because it's now at 256 members, if space is created and you're interested, we can always add you. But you can still do another one. It's not the end. You can still create another one for just teachers of Mombasa County alone, because the other one you've engaged teachers from elsewhere. And normally this helps us a lot to plan how to engage our students, all of them together. We engage them assignments in Google Classrooms, the one Mr. Kubo was talking about. on daily basis. We post assignments there, we post essays, they do them there, and we mark and we give them feedback. So it's normally a very active Google Classroom. We have 3 of them, by the way, for English. So I would advise you to get in touch with us so that we can add your students there, or you can add your students. Now that you've been taught how to go about it by Mr. Okuba, we can still do that. So let's engage them there. You can have one for your school also, but this one for the general, for all of us, is normally more engaging. But also have one, because I personally also have one for St. Charles Loanga, yeah? But this other one is also very useful. There's a code that we normally share, and you add your students, you add your teachers there. Any material you get, you post it there. You were taught how to do that yesterday. Any quizzes, any assignments, and then we can always assess and get feedback. Zoom sessions are there. We have them, especially talk about English, because mainly I'm in charge of English. We have 3 for paper 1 on Tuesday, paper 2 on Thursday, and then paper 3 on Saturday. We are lucky to have senior examiners on board handling these papers. So we are going forward. We have been engaging them, and we don't want that to stop. There's a bit of patience that is required in all of us. Some of our students, even in a classroom, not all of them normally participate. But you don't give up and walk out because only 2 are participating. You find ways of engaging the rest. Try to evoke them and try to encourage them to participate as far as your lessons are concerned. Remember, there is that issue of sharing with each other. Personally, I'm never afraid to ask when I've not understood. So feel free to always consult. I do that a lot personally, and I've grown from very far. Ebron will tell you. Somebody who could not even present a lesson on ICT, an ICT lesson, and I've come from very far. And now I've made several steps to where I am through asking and learning from each other. Now, as my final statement is, we know technology is very important, but we know it can never replace you as a teacher. You play a key role. But remember, with the knowledge of how to handle it, you can do great things and you can be transformational. You can achieve a lot. Our learners are born at a different level. They know a lot about this technology. Just engage them and you'll be surprised at how much you can achieve through them. They enjoy these things. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Let's proceed after the end of the session together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for those wonderful words. So let me just give Mary some 2 minutes to make her remarks, and we continue. Mary, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hebron, for giving this chance to me. I must say we have learned a lot, including me. There are some things that I've really learned from the wonderful presenters, and I'm sure that even me, as far as ICT is concerned, I've gained 1 or 2 things. So I'm just here to ask you as teachers to try and implement what we have learned through this refresher. As we said, we don't want to call it a training, it's a refresher, because these are things that we have been doing. We just need to up our game and make it work. I don't want to say that it has come in late. We should not accept that something comes late in life. Nothing is late. It has come at the appropriate time, and we are going to ensure that whatever we have acquired from this, whatever we have relearned, we are going to implement it. So we need to come up with a work plan to ensure that whatever we have gained from this refresher is implemented on the ground. So I've had very good remarks from the teachers, and I'm hoping that we are going to do something differently from what we were doing. And I just want to take this opportunity to ask you, like, if you didn't have a learning management system that was working well, now it's the time to ensure that whatever you share, the delivery mode, even varied content that like what we have talked about, everything should now be in line with what we have learned from this refresher. So I want also to put across that this refresher in online or virtual learning is not an end-to-end resolution to our learning, the learning needs of our students. We need to take a blended approach so that together with this remote learning, we can also think of other ways how we can engage our learners out there. Like for example, last week, I had an opportunity to visit some of the schools like Makande Girls. I saw very good work going on. The teachers there are mobilizing the students to ensure that they come from quizzes from schools, they are marked, and they are distributed back to the students. Also, Baraki Girls, I saw that happening, and I'm sure many other schools are doing that because I've been seeing that being reported in the monthly reports that you sent. So I am very, very happy for what you're doing, and I know this refresher will go a long way to ensure that your implementation is even better than what you're doing. Remember when I was remarking yesterday, I talked about us ensuring that we meet the needs of all our students. Let us also reach out to these students. I've seen teachers saying that some of them are in business. How can we mobilize these students to ensure that even when they get back to school, when the schools reopen, we are going to have 100% retention of our students so that we don't miss some students. They may go there and engage in business and find that it is very sweet and they fail to come back to school. So we need to keep in touch with our students, and I'm very, very happy with the initiative the government is taking of ensuring there is this CBL, where the teachers now can be able to use the forum to reach out to these students so that we may be able to have retention and students will be able to come back 100%. So I wish you the best as you go back to your schools. Ensure you have a work plan to ensure that you up your learning management system so that every school can have a system. I'm very proud of what I see happening in Meritini Secondary because I'm usually in the groups, even I'm in the group of English Learning Online, the one Nancy was talking about. So I attest to what she has said. I've been seeing, I will be seeing very wonderful work going on. It's a very active group. Meritini group is also very active, and even they have a basic learning management system where they have like a mini website where they are able to see, even students are able to access information. So that is a very, very good initiative. So I wish the other teachers, the other schools can borrow this idea to ensure that the students can also access information using a learning management system like the one I'm talking about. So I hope that every school is going to come up with a work plan of implementation, whichever way that you want to use. It can be blended use of remote learning. It can also be what Makande and Balaki are doing, even Topanga, they do the same, and even Maweni and other schools that I've been seeing. So let's sit down as teachers, do a work plan. So I think by the end of this, I need to have a work plan for each of the schools from one of the teachers that you're going to choose so that I can have we can have a work plan and see how we are going to implement what we have just refreshed ourselves on so that it does not end here. And I have seen the coaches even saying that they are going to give themselves out to ensure that all the teachers are brought on board properly so that if you have any issues using all what we have refreshed ourselves about, you can reach out to Guda, you can reach out to Mr. Wishaminya, to Okuba, or to anybody else and invite them in your schools so that at least you can be able to practice this, do it practically. So I think for the work plan, I'll give you 1 week to work for it, to work on it, and that I can have it by, today is when? Today is 27th. So if we can work with the 13th of September, I think you'd have done something, or maybe 10th. Let's work with 10th so that at least we can use the remaining time to ensure that all the students are reached. So by 10th, please provide a work plan on how you are going to engage your learners now that we have been refreshed on this. So thank you very much for this time. And I wish you the best as we continue to implement, as we continue to do the work that God has given us. This is a God-given, it's a noble job, and we are all proud of ourselves as teachers. I'm also a teacher, and I'm very, very happy for what we have, even the teachers have shared in the chat session. So I wish you the best as we continue implementing. Thank you very much. Back to you, Hebron.
Thank you, Mary, for such wise words. I now give it to Francisca. Francisca, are you there?
Thank you very much, Hebron. Apologies, my microphone was taking long to unmute. Before I make my few remarks, I'll give my colleagues from Meru and Laikipia 1 minute each, starting with Jacqueline to say something before I continue. Jacqueline, are you there? Jacqueline? Could she be facing the same problem? Hebron, kindly check whether she's able to unmute herself.
I'm doing that for her.
Jacqueline, can you hear me? You can also unmute Colin so that when he starts to speak, he doesn't face the challenge.
Sorry, the host had not allowed us to unmute ourselves.
Yes.
But
Yes.
they haven't.
Sorry for that. Yeah. So you can go ahead, Jacqueline, 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I've enjoyed the session. Key learnings there that, and one thing that is encouraging me is the positivity in which the teachers have in adopting their kind of delivery during this COVID-19, and just their commitment to see that the students are not left out, especially maybe the students who come from the low-income areas where maybe their parents will not be able to support them to access education during this period. So their initiatives are much appreciated, and I'm learning a lot. Of course, when we'll be ready to roll out this in our county, I'll reach out to the facilitators and the various teachers just to also offer guidance and mentorship to our teachers in the region, or in our county, I mean. I appreciate and thank you. Back to you. Back to you, Francisca.
Okay, Collins.
Hello, Hebron. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, so as you've heard all participants, my name is Collins Omondi. I'm based in Meru,
And we are also implementing the same project, just like Laikipia, Jacqueline from Laikipia has mentioned, and Francisca in Mombasa. So it has been a wonderful 2 days. I've managed to be here with you for these particular 2 days. And I would just wish to thank all the teachers, the principals for supporting this initiative. I know it is quite demanding, being that as a country, we were never prepared to be in this context where we are now. But now we are there, and I've learned a lot from the teachers, and this is one thing we also need to incorporate in Meru. Because as Mary has said, and I think there is also a principal who had said this before, learning or education emerges like what we are in now should be more or less complementary. No single approach would can we consider to be would be very successful, other than we look at the different approaches that can work, so that even as we move forward, somehow through this kind of workshops and training opportunities, we are already addressing goal number 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which simply puts emphasis on inclusive and equitable quality education that promotes lifelong learning opportunities for all. So we must, the key word as we move with this forward with this kind of innovations, let's always think about all the children. Jacqueline has just mentioned this. We basically work with disadvantaged schools in terms of enrollment, in terms of the background of the learners. But then whatever we do, we should ensure that all the children are provided for, whether they are from disadvantaged social backgrounds or their attainment of the learning outcomes. We should always ensure that. So I think this is one thing, and as once again, as Jacqueline has said, we'll reach out to you in case we need more support in ensuring that the teachers we work with really take this idea forward and preach the agenda, and then we can be the agents of change. I would only ask the teachers who are involved in this now to be the ambassadors of change in terms of getting more teachers on board. Initially, I know people would be very resistant to buy this kind of an idea or initiative, but it's a good work, and that will not be in vain. So I thank you all. I thank you, Francisca, everyone, the team, and the good work you are doing, as well as the principal, the county director of education, as well as the TSC director for the support that they've extended. It has made the 2 days wonderful and successful, and we are all leaving the meeting a better people. Thank you, and back to you, Francisca.
Thank you very much, Collins and Jacqueline. Indeed, we'll continue to cross-learn in the coming days. Mine is to appreciate everyone that has made this happen, starting with my team, that is Hebron, Mary, with the good support of our able teacher coaches. We work with 8 teacher coaches, and even the teachers for turning up. You can imagine if we were holding this forum with only ourselves and the coaches, we would not have achieved what we've been able to achieve. So we appreciate setting out your time in the tight schedule, because I've come to realize that even working remotely, we have a lot of work than even the time when we were reporting to the office. So I'm sure you have very tight schedules, your timetables for supporting the learners. So you are highly appreciated. And we believe that the content that you've acquired will be used in supporting our learners. Personally, I learned yesterday by the end of the Google Classroom session, I was able to set my own classroom and invite some students. I'm awaiting the first assignment to stream in tomorrow. So thank you so much. I feel empowered from where I am. Again, just to add on what Mary and Hebron have shared, it is now moving forward as a team. In our database, we have 138 teachers of English and mathematics, led by the heads of departments. So we wish to have all of them brought on board in the different subject clusters. And because of the structure of the teacher coaching, for those who are new to this concept, the teacher coaching concept is working with selected teachers in each school and sub-county to form quality learning circles. So whatever we have right now is like a quality learning circle in the WhatsApp group, which is meant to ensure cross-learning and sharing of best practices. I remember many years when I was a teacher, it was very hard to borrow practices from one school to another because ICT integration was unheard of. You just hear Shimolatewa, they do so well in this, St. George's, they do so well in this, but you did not have an opportunity to experience that. But in this day and era, we are privileged to be able to share our skills online at the comfort of our homes or our classes. So let's take this opportunity. The team of coaches we have, you've had Nancy talk, have amassed a wealth of skills that are very good for us. And by the time we go back to learning, normal learning, we should take this opportunity and acquire as much skills as possible. So I believe the quality learning circles will continue taking place. During the English online lessons Nancy was talking about, we've had even teachers from as far as Alliance High School come and teach our learners. So that is a very good opportunity. And again, I know the mandate of teacher coaching has been, apart from the maintaining the quality circles in schools, is to empower us on lesson preparation, lesson quality delivery, and assessment. And this has not stopped because we've seen the sessions that have been handled today and yesterday have basically looked at that, the preparation, the delivery, and assessment, but this time online with learners who you are not able to discipline face-to-face, but you have to find a way of engaging them and being sure that the work you've given them, they are going to do it towards the end. So as Elimisha, we are together with you. We know that in a training is one thing and implementing is another. And the coaches have confirmed that they are willing to work with us the journey. So ensure that you know your coach. Each coach has a school they support. First, beginning with the team of teachers, they are teaching with the same school, and the other neighboring schools. So they are segregated according to the subject areas. We have coaches specialized in English, coaches specialized in mathematics, what we call literacy numeracy, and then ICT coaches like Karanja is one of them. So any support you need in all those areas, you will be supported. And even the teachers who are not English and math but would want more support on ICT, Karanja and even the other coaches who have done a Microsoft Certified Educator can be able to support us. So the field is open. As you engage the learners, as you share the work plans that Mary has requested for, would be keen as Jelimisha to hear of the emerging issues because we know things are constantly changing. Today, we only know of Google Classroom and the different apps that you've talked about, but we don't know tomorrow what will come up. Kindly share with us so that we share with the different groups of teachers that we work with. As we engage the learners, we also do have mentorship. So work with others to ensure that our learners are aptly supported. We do continuously do monitoring. Yesterday, I talked about remote monitoring. And some of you may find yourselves being given a Google form to just share what is the experience of your classroom with the learners. Sometimes when you're distributing materials, like I know it's coming in a few weeks, distributing sanitary towels, distributing books, some of you may be on board to just support us. So we'll be able to walk this journey together. And we believe that as in the coming months, our learners will be supported. And like Mary has rightly put it, it is our wish that our enrollment of 9,000 learners, both boys and girls, although this is a girls, all of them will be learning and will be back to school with us when reopening will take place. So thank you so much. And I now take this opportunity to welcome our guests to officially close this forum. So Dr. Marigat, we are honored to have you on board. It is your time now to officially close this ceremony as you do your closing remarks. Karibu sana.
Yeah, Francisca, thank you very much, and team. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm saying that because I'm on the road, so I will not say much. I want to appreciate that it's been an interesting opportunity. Sometimes it's nice just to be a fly on the wall. Listen to the colleagues, listening to Nancy Okora, listening to the colleagues from like Kipia, Meru. It's always nice to be in the front. I think I want to request, I wouldn't mind joining the team for my subject. I think I need the refresher to be part of the great team. So I want to appreciate, I want to for what you are doing. And I just pray that God bless you in whatever intervention we do. I'm happy that we've agreed to create groups which are related to our various subjects. I think those professional groups will go to assist each other. The colleagues will go to assist each other better. And moving forward, let's think, let's make it better. Let's grow every idea. Just like Francisca is saying, every time we have new programs coming up, let's be on top of the game. Others, I want to wish you well. It's been a great pleasure, colleagues. Just listening to all of you. I'm learning so much, and I think every time we have opportunities, I wouldn't mind joining you. It is the best time I spent today. Otherwise, I want to wish you God's blessing, and I want to close this refresher course.